Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, dear viewers and listeners. Welcome back to yet another episode of Beauty Lies Beyond Podcast with me, Miriam Rose. I'm joined again in studio by yet another amazing guest. And as is the custom, I will allow her to introduce herself and we will delve right into the episode.
Hi,
Welcome.
everyone. Hi, Miriam's audience. My name is Bamzi. I'm just a soul navigating this human experience. In terms of what I do, I'm also a podcaster like Miriam.
Yeah.
I do the same thing that Miriam does. I'm on a healing journey like she is, like everyone is. And that's just about me.
You know, it's so funny. I think we were we here in the other studio?
We were here when
we did your podcast.
Yeah, it was the same room.
Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think we were even seated the same way. It's so
Right.
cool. It's like deja vu.
Yeah.
So we met online.
Yes, I reached out to you.
Oh, yeah.
I reached out to you and it took like 2 months because you don't check that email. And I didn't think to like reach out to you on Instagram or any other platform. I was just like, okay, I'm going to be super official and send you an email from the art of being email. But you don't check that email. But you eventually checked and you reached out to me and that's how we connected.
Yes. She has a podcast. You should introduce your podcast.
Yes,
Bamzi,
my podcast is the Art of Being Podcast. We talk about all things spirituality. I talk to other healers and practitioners and people that are on their healing journey. The same thing that Miriam is doing. So if that's something you're interested in, like adding to. If you're listening to Miriam's podcast, I'm assuming that you're like a spiritual person, you're drawn into this types of subjects. So if you want to add to the list of podcasts you listen to, definitely check out my podcast.
Yeah, the Art of Being. I love your podcast. Do you know it's one of the podcasts that I actually have listened from start to finish and another episode it's
really.
I'm not a podcast consumer. I really genuinely loved your podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
when you reached out to me, I went to check obviously and then what I saw and I was so happy. Remember I commented, I'm like, I love this so much. I really genuinely do.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing what you're doing. I think I genuinely believe we need to do more talking about these subjects because they have been taboo for quite a long time. And we need to expand the community, and I keep finding more people who want to join communities, which is exciting. So the fact that we are doing this is positive. It's a positive addition to the universe, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, because on my journey I've been looking for communities, and that's why I reached out to you because you're doing amazing work as well.
Thank you.
I've been reaching out to more women and just meeting more women that are like healing themselves, and that's been beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway, let's dive into you.
Okay.
And people need to know who you are. I need to know more about you as well. So tell us a bit about your spiritual journey. Most people I've been meeting are like, I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. Is that your story as well?
Yes. In fact, I don't think I've ever identified as religious at all. I think... And I did grow up going to church. When I was younger, I went to boarding school. It was like a Seventh-day Adventist boarding school. The whole of Saturday was spent at church. And I remember as a young kid, of course, that was my life, right? And I enjoyed being part of the choir. I used to zone out when the preaching will happen because it's so long. It's you're a child, you're distracted, you don't want to sit there. So I can't say that unlike you, because I've had your story where you were always a seeker. I don't think I was that. I was just going to church because people went to church, right? Because that was just part of my life. But I remember I used to enjoy reading Revelation and the scary stories in Revelations. I can't tell you why. With the beast with the 7 heads and
That's crazy.
I don't know why. I can't tell you. Up to this day, I can't tell you. But my favorite verses of the Bible were the Revelation, and then I think there was I'm trying to remember. There were other verses of the Bible of
King James.
No. There was the stories of Ahab, do you know that story of like Ahab and I don't know, like vineyard and something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't know why, like I used to reread it. I can't tell you. But anyway, so I used to go to, it's funny because when I was at school, I've experienced all types of religions, like a lot of religions. When I was at school, we would go to Seventh-day Adventist because the school was at Seventh-day Adventist.
Yeah.
But when I would come home, some of my caretakers were actually Catholic. So I would go to Catholic church. And I remember like my cousin and I, like at one point, we wanted to go and receive the, what is it called? The
Eucharist.
Eucharist. We were not baptized, but we were just curious as children. So I've been experienced Catholic church, and then I've experienced the one Protestant as well. After like I graduated primary school, but then after primary school, going into high school, I moved towns, and then once I moved to high school, my church going completely stopped. So I was disconnected from like religion, from Bible for like a really long time.
Why your school wasn't church centered school?
No, my high school was just a day school. There was no church center. It was,
Okay.
Yeah, I got involved in sports.
Yeah.
And I stopped anything to do with church, anything to do with God. I was not even seeking. There was no curious part of me. But I remember like I've always been that person that I know things. You know, I listened to one of the podcasts where you say that you are clairsentient, like you feel, right? I think I'm cognizant. So I know things and I don't know how I know them.
Yeah.
And I remember we were talking about reincarnation. I remember I was in high school and I remember thinking about suffering in general, thinking about poverty, thinking about like all these things. And I remember like it was like a download of information about, oh, maybe the people that are going through all of this, they've experienced something else. You know, they've experienced like a better life. They've experienced a life of like non-suffering. And maybe this time they're like experiencing like to just get the other side of it. And I remember getting that download and I was like, and I didn't sit with it. I can't tell you that I sat with it and I was like, oh, I have an answer. It was just like a thought. It came as a thought because that's how downloads come. They come as like a thought. It's now when I look back, I'm like, there are things that I knew that I don't know how I knew them. And that was one of them.
Interesting.
And then I remember like there was a part of me that knew that I didn't grow up like in good circumstances in terms of like material wealth or resources or like I remember there was a part of me that knew that there's a larger life out there. It was like a knowing, even though like in that moment I couldn't prove it. I kind of felt like I know this and I don't know how I know it. So yeah, there's always been a part of me that knows and I don't know how I know it. But it's not until after I graduated college that I actually started my spiritual and healing journey. Yeah.
What prompted that?
Good question. Okay, so like everybody else, or not everybody else, like some of you were
Most
like
people.
seekers when you were like 9 years old. Life path 7. Life path 7 start their spiritual journey when they're like really young. But so for me, it started as a dissatisfaction, an internal dissatisfaction. I remember when I was in college, I was so active. When I say active, I don't mean like physically active. I was active in terms of like I'm out there doing. In fact, I had like a radio show where I just talked about social and political issues. It was like a campus radio show. It wasn't like anything that, it was just like kids in college would listen to that. But we talked about politics, social issues, gender, all of those things. So I was this person who like wanted that is what I wanted to do. I was doing political science and mass comm and I was like, oh, I'm going to go into the world and I'm going to be like this global leader. I'm going to tackle global issues. And I attempted to do some of that in college. So that was my identity. That's how I was like, oh, this is me. And like, I'm an important person in the world. That gave me like a sense of like me. I understood that is me, right?
Yeah.
And then when I graduated college, the world started humbling me. Because when I graduated college, I needed to start looking for jobs. So I'm looking for jobs. I'm looking for like jobs that would put me on the path to be a global leader, to go and tackle like Kenyan Somalia issues. Like I just wanted to be this diplomat, you know? So,
Wow.
and then the world is like, you thought. You thought. So I'm applying for all of these jobs in international organizations. I'm applying like nothing is happening. And then I was like, okay, I need to pay bills. I need something. And at the time I was out of the country. I did my undergrad out of the country. So I was like, okay, I need something. And then so I got a job. I applied for like a non-profit organization. I got like a small job as like an administrative and communications assistant. And I was like, okay, I guess this is what I have to do. And I would go to that job. I hated it. I thought I was gonna be this big person in the world, and now I'm being put on the desk to answer phone calls and do like media communication work. I hated it. Like I was numb. That's when my numbness started. That's when the dissatisfaction started.
Yeah.
When I look back, I'm like, that was the calling. That is the first time that I got the call.
Yeah.
To go inward, but guess what? I ignored because I didn't know.
You wouldn't know.
I didn't. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. So.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, okay, I need to change jobs. That is the solution, right? Because how are we conditioned? We are conditioned to look externally. Like when you feel a dissatisfaction, you think that it's something that you need to fix externally. And that is how I was like, okay, I need to get a better job. And not to say that you shouldn't get a better job.
Yeah.
Not to say that. But in my case, I was actually getting a call to look inward in my case. I was like, okay, I need a better job. Maybe that would fix me, that would fix what I'm feeling, right? So then I applied and got a job at a news organization. And I was like a writing intern. And that job, it didn't fix what I was feeling, but it was kind of a distraction because I was so busy. Like you had to research, you had to write 2 stories a day. It was very busy. You get to work, you immediately start writing and researching. And it kind of boosted my ego a bit because then I'm writing articles that are being posted, that are being read globally. It was like an international news organization. It boosted that ego, sense of self.
Yeah.
That I always thought that this is me, right? And because I was so busy, I didn't have time to be unhappy. I was just like, okay, I go to work, I come back home, I just want to relax. So it wasn't like, it's not like the numbness went away. It was like I got a break from like that numbness. And then I did it for 6 months. And then after that, my visa expired and I had to move back to Kenya. And I moved back to Kenya and I was depressed for like 4 months because I was looking for jobs. First of all, I don't have friends, because the friends that I had from high school, people have moved on with their lives. I was gone for 5 years.
Yeah.
People have moved on with their lives, so I don't have anyone. I'm isolated. I'm looking for work. I'm not finding anything. I'm just in my apartment. I'm crying every day. I'm not finding anything. And so I was like, okay, like, that was another call, right? Because that isolation period is most of the time when you're isolated, you look inward. So I was depressed, but I wasn't really doing any like inner work of looking inward. I wasn't. It's now like I have a higher perspective of looking back and seeing like all these different times that I was being presented with opportunities to go inward. I didn't. And then I got a job after like 4 months of looking. So I was like, okay, my life is finally back on track. And then I started that job. 1 week, 2 weeks, the numbness came back. It's not like it was gone anyway.
Yeah.
So that feeling of dissatisfaction came back because I thought that the job was going to fix something. I thought it was going to fix me and I'm going to just be normal, like another normal person. I would go to work and I was so disconnected from myself, like completely disconnected, and I had no idea at all. So it's during that time of disconnection that I was like, okay, maybe it's the job. Maybe I need higher education. Maybe I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I need to improve my skills. And so I started looking for, strength tests. Like, okay, what can I improve? Like, see, I'm still like looking externally to fix myself. So I started getting into like Myers-Briggs. But have you ever heard of Myers-Briggs?
Yes, I did it
we talked about it.
At the height of my own confusion. I'm like, I need to understand my personality because
you
what
need
is
to understand-
happening?
Yes.
What is wrong with me?
Because you're like, it's something I need to at least understand myself better.
Yeah.
So I started getting into Myers-Briggs, and at the time, my brother was also into Myers-Briggs, and he had like dove deep into Myers-Briggs because because I was disconnected from myself. Whatever I was getting from the test wasn't even like an accurate representation of like even who Myers-Briggs, the accurate test. Like I wasn't getting the accurate personality typing because I really did not know myself. Like I cannot.
That's interesting.
I did not know myself, and so I went and had a conversation with my brother, and he was like, "You're definitely not that," because I came out as like as a thinking, versus feeling. So I came out as like a thinking person, and my brother was like, "You're full of feelings."
Even I know that.
He's like, "You definitely make your decisions based on feelings. Like, what are you talking about? You're definitely not thinking." Not that I don't have thinking. It's just that what is your primary way?
Yeah.
So I started getting into Myers-Briggs, and I'm like learning about like I came out as an ENFJ, and I was like, okay, it helps me understand a little bit of myself, but it's still not enough to solve the conflict that's happening within. But it was just an entry into like just reflecting, right? And I remember like thinking like, oh my gosh, it makes me understand my roommates better. So I started like just studying Myers-Briggs, studying, and then at the same time I'm like, okay, I need to fix this job thing. I need to get better education. I need to get a master's in order for me to get like maybe a better position, like a higher position. So I applied for a master's. I applied same city that I was when I was doing that job that I was talking about. So I applied and left the country again to go to my master's. So I remember like meeting new people because when you're doing your master's, people are like mature. And people are coming from all over the world. So I'm meeting new people. I'm excited. It's like exciting. You're sharing like about your backgrounds and like the work that you do, things that you're interested in. And I'm still fully in my ego. And I'll expand on that. It's not, I'll expand on like what I mean. I'm fully in my ego. I'm fully set on this identity of this is Bamzi and this is what she does in the world. This is her story. This is her journey. So I'm fully set on that. I'm fully set on like, this is what I want to do. And that is what will make me who I am. And so I'm interacting with people. And when I go back home, I'm like, why am I so unhappy? I thought when I came to do my master's, that was going to fix me. Why am I crying? I remember like writing in my journal, I'm like, what is wrong with me? What is happening? I was not understanding. I'm like, I literally left my environment and I came back to get a master's and I'm meeting all these new people like, what is happening? What is wrong? And, I still did not know what to do with that. And at school, in the meantime, I'm like typing people. I'm like, you're an INFJ. I'm like, because I'm meeting people and I'm understanding. I'm like, yes, let's take the test. Or like I'm telling them, I'm like, whatever. So literally that's how people got introduced to me when I was doing my master's. And then this is 2018 December that I'm like talking about. And then 2019, going into 2019 January, it was the first time that I was depressed, a depression that I've never understood. And when I say that, I mean, like when I told you that I was depressed when I moved back to Kenya, it was like a different depression. It wasn't like a deeper depression. I don't know how to explain it. That depression was just like surface level depression. This one, I want to say that it was a teaser of my dark night. Wow. It was like a teaser because it's like you have to build the capacity in order for you to actually be able to hold the full dark night. So I want to say 2019 January was like the universe was teasing me of like, okay, are you ready to handle all your darkness, all the things that you've been, all the ways you've abandoned yourself, all the things that you never addressed, resolved. Are you ready? So it was just like a teaser. I remember not understanding, like, why is it so hard for me to get out of bed? I used to be that person who thought of myself as like, okay, maybe I'll have one bad day, but it takes me that one day, and then the next day I'm back to myself. So that January I was like, wait, it's taking me longer. I'm like moody. I don't understand why, like, I feel so heavy. I was crying. My friends, like, I turned down like trips with my friends. They did not understand what was happening to me. And so came spring. When spring started, like around April, I was back to like my energy, which I call like, this is Bamzi. This is normal Bamzi.
Yeah.
Because I was never used to being like depressed. And then summer of 2019, so around June, July, I was listening to the Myers-Briggs podcast. One of the women who's the host was like, I credit her to, she's like, pointed me to like a starting point. She was like, okay, like if you're an ENFJ, I would recommend reading The Power of Now in order for you to like just address the thoughts and things that are going on with you. So I was like, okay, it's time for me to read this Power of Now that I've been hearing about. So I read 2019, I read The Power of Now for the first time. And I remember being like, my body is resonating with what Eckhart Tolle is saying. It's like I'm responding. I'm having a somatic response to what is being written. Yes, some of it is intellectual, but it's like, this makes so much sense. And it was the first time that I actually really started looking inward. It was the first time that I started like understanding that I am not my thoughts. It was the first time that I started like becoming an observer of my thoughts. So yeah, that was the beginning of my like spiritual journey. I want to say like 2019.
Yeah. There's something about those dates. There's someone who commented on one of my videos about the dates. Like, I think I told you the last time, 2018, 2019 was such a breakthrough period. But I love how you describe it as the dark night of the soul is coming. This is a teaser.
But I did not know at the time. We didn't know that.
It's in hindsight. It's in hindsight. The benefit of hindsight tells us, because every time you speak, I literally can place myself in your story.
Yes.
It's so crazy. And The Power of Now, I think Eckhart Tolle needs to just come for his
coins, right?
His coins, man.
But he's already getting his coins.
It so much. It's like it's like the gateway drug.
Yes.
For so many people into spirituality. It's crazy. That even you've mentioned it the other day. Someone else mentioned it. It's even for me, I think it was. I don't know whether it was the first time, but I remember reading it and I'm like, something just clicked.
Yes.
There's something about that book.
Because the thing is, like, what he's saying, you already know. You already have that knowledge and information within you. We have everything. You have everything. You have all the information you need. It's just that you're not connected to it. You're not aware that you have that. You're only responding to what you know. It's not like he's telling you anything new. And that is why it's resonating so deeply.
It did.
Yeah, because otherwise, like, if it's something new, it's just going to be intellectual, right? But when you're having that somatic response, it's because it's resonating deeply with something that you know within yourself. It's just that you just needed somebody to remind me. Yeah.
I remember when I was standing at my aunt's house. I don't know why I was reading the book standing up, but I was standing up and I read, I don't know what line I read, and it just clicked. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like the awakening started happening, or the switch turned, and then the rest just started happening for me. So I get it 100%. So that's interesting. I love why the reason I wasn't interrupting you was because I hope the people who listen to your story can resonate. I love how you explain that this emptiness that we feel, that you can it's like a hole inside your heart that nothing can fill. So I love that you tried filling it with education, with higher education, with all these things that we keep trying to fill it with, and it all went to nothing. And it's so clear also from your story that there are two dimensions. There's the external dimension and the internal one. We haven't been taught to look inside, which is, I guess, the reason why we're even doing this, so that people can now realize we need there's a whole world inside that needs nurturing as much as the outside needs nurturing, and the outside the material cannot overcome the spiritual. The spiritual is what we hold inside. So I loved the way you just laid it out. Awesome. So now you are at the doorstep to your dark night.
Yes.
So tell us about it.
So dark night. So I'm still, just deep in the Myers-Briggs. It's still like, yes, I'm reading The Power of Now. It's awakened me. I'm still watching Myers-Briggs because I'm still like old me, whatever you would call it. And then I got introduced to another like personality way of understanding yourself. So see, I'm still looking for deeper ways to understand myself. Like even though yes, I've read The Power of Now, I'm still looking for like other ways to complement like what I'm already learning.
Yeah.
And I got introduced to the Enneagram. Have you ever heard of the Enneagram?
Yeah, my dear. All of them.
What are you?
Bro, you've probably done everything you've done.
What are you on the Enneagram?
Is it remember what this one
it's
is?
like 1 to 9.
I don't even remember because I did these things in 2016.
Yeah, so
for
me, like when I was doing the Enneagram actually helped me understand myself way better than the Myers-Briggs because the Enneagram is psycho-spiritual, right? So it kind of touches on the shadow. So it was the first introduction of me understanding my shadow. So I remember doing the Enneagram and I couldn't find myself by doing the test. So I had to read all the 27 descriptions in order for me to find myself. So it's like 1 to 9. I found that I was like a sexual 5.
I actually don't remember, but I've taken it.
Yeah. So I remember like studying the Enneagram, and it was the first time that I started to understand, the shadow side. The shadow side, I started to like see, when you see your shadow and you're just like, ooh. the parts of you that you hide, you don't want anyone to see. You're just like, I am the only one who knows this, but I don't want anyone else to see or know.
Yeah.
It was just the introduction of me understanding like, we also have shadow sides. Not that you don't know, it's just that you don't have language for it. You know that you have this darker parts of you, but you don't have language. So I didn't have language, but it was me being introduced to that. And I remember for me, like then the depression started being like seasonally. So summer of 2019, when I read The Power of Now, I was like, oh my God, I'm aware of my thoughts. I'm just gonna, now like I'm, empowered. I'm making fun of myself, but like, when I look back, I'm like, you thought, really, you thought. So I remember I went back so I had finished my first year of my master's, and now I'm going into my second year of my master's. August, towards the end of August, my second year of my master's started. So we are all back to school. And I remember now just being aware of myself. For the first time ever, I'm observing how am I responding to people? Like as I'm interacting with people, like what am I thinking? Like I'm literally, I become like this little observer of like, I'm observing my interactions. But I want to say that it was like a tease of like what spiritual bypass is.
Really?
Does that make sense? Like when it's like, if I'm having an interaction with you, right? And maybe like I don't like how this is going, or I don't like the triggers that are being triggered. The best way for me to be able to be like a higher version of me or a better me is me removing myself. Does that make sense? So it's not like I'm addressing whatever conflict that's going on between me and you. It's just like avoidance. And I thought that was me being like,
zen,
or like I'm not gonna be affected by whatever is happening. So that's what spiritual bypass is. Like you're zen, but like the zen is like you're really escaping.
It's an unhealthy zen.
Yes, you're escaping. So I remember being like, this is the way for me to operate. And I thought that was, the best way. So I remember that I went into winter of 2019, and then I sunk into depression. And the thing is, like, when you're in the Western world, sometimes there's something called seasonal depression, where like the seasons come with depression, especially winter, because you tend to be reclusive. So I remember being depressed again at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, of like another, like more, not fully fledged dark night, but it was just heavier than what I had experienced in 2019. And from what I've come to understand is that it's like a form of titration where the universe just, gives you like a glimpse of like the pain and sees like if your nervous system can handle. So for me, it was like more heavier than it was in 2019. And so it was taking me more and more days for me to get out of bed. But then I'm reading The Power of Now, I'm meditating, but at the time I felt like when I would meditate, I would become more anxious. And it's not until like I did it for several months that I started to actually now cultivate an awareness. So I remember spring of 2020, like around April of 2020, we are now isolated. I'm still taking classes. We had gone remote because we used to be, like everybody went remote. So actually not spring, March of 2020, I was like, okay, like we've gone remote. I'm not happy with, even though, yes, I've become aware, I'm still not happy with how I'm operating. I'm not happy with my lifestyle. And I used to have these dreams even before that. Like I used to have this recurring dreams for so many years and years and years. I would have the same dream of me being chased by men, like a bunch of men, 2, 3, they're chasing me. And then we're just running. And then as I'm getting to the wall, they almost catch me, but then they don't catch me. And I would wake up sweating. I would wake up with so much fear, with so much anxiety. I'm like literally sweating in my body. Like my whole body is just filled with sweat.
Even physically, like in your bed?
So I would wake up from the nightmare and it's just like,
drenched.
I'm sweating from like the nightmare, right? So that 2020 March, I was like, okay, I need to change things. So what I started doing, I was like, okay, maybe let me start being healthy first of all, like in terms of the body. Am I even conscious of what I'm eating? Let me just start thinking about like my meals consciously, and then also let me start working out. Because before that, I just never used to work out. Never exercised. So it was like, okay, it's time. I'm home. I don't have to take the train to school. So I started working out for like 40 minutes every single day. And I feel like that put me in touch with my body, right? Because now I'm in touch with my body as when you do an exercise, you're like embodied.
Yeah.
So at the same time that I'm embodied, I'm also like working on myself internally. I'm like studying the Enneagram. I'm reading these books. I'm meditating. And several months go by and I started to realize that I'm feeling very different as a person. So some of 2020 I was starting to feel like I'm journaling of like how much I'm changing. I'm starting to feel different.
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel like, okay, yeah, something is happening. Like I'm making progress in terms of like who I'm becoming. By the time it reached to like 2021 April, I'm having like dreams, revelatory dreams. I'm such a big dreamer. I'm having dreams that are telling me about my consciousness, like in a good way. And then the dreams about being chased stopped completely. I've never had such a dream again, ever. Since I got in touch with myself, since I got in touch with my body, since I started becoming aware. And so what I realize now is that I was disconnected from myself. So it was, my consciousness is like chasing after me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that is why I was having those dreams. Because they're like a symbol of like what is happening in your subconscious. And so that disconnection is what made me have those nightmares. And since I started to reconnect with myself, they went away completely.
That's interesting.
But yeah, so that's not even the dark night.
Badu.
That's not even the dark night. So summer, June 2021.
Okay.
2021, I moved back to Kenya. And that was the dark night.
21.
Because 2021.
God. No, I'm just trying to remember my 21. I think I was 29, I think. It was just hell.
Yeah?
It was just hell.
Because people were still isolated at the time, right?
Yeah, there was still COVID. People are still at home.
Yeah, so I moved back home. I don't have friends. Same thing that had happened when I moved out after undergrad. I don't have friends. I'm completely isolated. When I say that, I mean like I was not talking to anyone. And I think like by design, the universe puts you in certain situations in order for you to go deeper. And because now I can see why I needed to be reclusive in 2021, because that was the height of my dark night. So I came back to Kenya, and a lot of people ask, what triggered the dark night, because sometimes it's like you have a loss, maybe you lose somebody, maybe you lose your spouse, maybe
you hit rock bottom, you lose money, you lose a business,
because it's about losing an identity that you are attached to. So I moved back home. Moving, I thought like I was gonna have this relationship with a guy that lived in Kenya that I had dated like in 2017, beginning of 2018. So I was like, okay, if I'm moving back home, we're going to be together. I was so attached to that story of us being together. Like fully attached to that story. It's me and him, we're going to be together
forever.
If you know anything about the sexual if you know anything about like the Enneagram, the sexual, because in the Enneagram you have the social, you have the self-preservation, and then you have the sexual, and those are like instincts.
I think I'll do
like
it again.
Human instincts. So the self-preservation is about people that are more reclusive, they just want to self-preserve themselves. And then social, they just want to do things out there, they just want to be involved. People that are involved in the community, they go to church, they do things. That's probably like a social person. And I am a sexual person, and sexual, it's not what you think, it's about like one-on-one. I'm like a one-on-one person, so it's like me and that person against the world. So I was like, okay. And then when I moved back, he was not in the same headspace.
Obviously.
Not in the same headspace. I had all these expectations.
Yeah.
And that, in addition to like me not having a job, so because at the time I thought it's the relationship, and I thought it's the job, me not having a job.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that I'm having pain about. So in the beginning, I thought like I'm having pain about this. But the more like weeks went by of pain, I was like, no, there's no way this is about these two things. Because if you've gone through the dark night, you understand that pain is not something that you can explain to anyone that has never experienced it. Like I used to cry every single day. Like I would go out, I see the guard at the gate, and I think about their story. It sends me crying. I would think about any type of suffering. It sends me crying. I would come back home. I would cry until I'm like kneeling down, being like, why? Like, why? Where is this pain coming from? Like, how can I have held so much pain? I did not know that I held so much pain. I did not understand where it was coming from. I could not stop it. I couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
And if you know about like how Scorpio moon experiences pain, it feels physical. I actually, at some points, I thought that the pain was going to split me into half. That's how, like, I really felt like it feels like a physical pain that you're experiencing, except that it's emotional.
I mean, it makes sense. A Scorpio moon, if Scorpio is is transformation, and it's your emotions. Your emotions are the ones that are literally splitting you apart.
Yes.
Physically.
Yes, I really thought that it was going to be...
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
Like, the emotions were going to break me. Yes. That's how powerful they were. Like, the fact that I would just, like, surrender. And I did not understand. And so I actually experienced pain for, like, 8 months straight.
Oh, my God.
I would only have, like, a few...
glimpses.
One day of, like... maybe this is the day that I won't cry. And I would just watch Grey's Anatomy. And then the beginning season, the character just went through a lot of pain, and I would just immerse myself in her pain and cry even more. I did not understand. So that went on for 8 months of straight pain. And then April 2022 was the first break that I got of like no pain in April. Like, yes, there's still like a lot, but it was the first time that I started to feel peace within. And I felt like something that I had never felt before. So
is there anything that prompted it? The peace?
So I want to say that the peace, it's not by a thought or whatever. The peace mainly came from the cleansing that was
I
happening.
thought so. It's like it bubbles up.
So like all of that pain that I was releasing, it was creating space. Yeah, like I was so clogged and disconnected. So by me feeling that, because when you feel something, you're releasing it. It's leaving your system.
Yep.
So the first time that I felt peace, it was like a Sunday morning. I remember very specifically. I'm in bed. I'm just thinking about like why I'm so stuck, why I've been so stuck for so long. And I remember having this thought, like one thought that completely shifted me. I can't remember what that was, what I thought about, but it shifted me completely. And I was suddenly like jolted out of bed, went to the arboretum, and I'm like so happy. Like I felt such peace and happiness, joy that came from nothing. I still didn't have a job. The joy wasn't brought on by like anything external. It was just like an internal peace and joy that I started to feel. And that was the first time that I actually started to feel freedom and peace within. But it was only like I was still in the depths of the darkness of the dark night, because it doesn't last like
2 minutes.
Yes.
It goes on endlessly.
Yeah. So I had a whole month break of April 2021, and then May 2022, I then got a job. I got a job, and I was going to travel to Ghana for the job. And then right before I traveled, I ran into that guy that I thought I was going to be with.
Wow.
I ran into him, and then that sent me back into darkness. Not to say that it's him, but it was like there's more for me to release.
Yeah.
It's never about the person.
universe has a dark sense of humor.
Yeah, and it's never about because now I understand it's never about him.
Yeah.
It's never about my relationship with him or whatever. It's about me and what I need to let go
What
of.
more you haven't let go of.
Yes. So I ran into him, and then I spiraled. So when I went to Ghana, I was in Ghana for like a whole month. I was crying every day. I came back around September 2022. I'm still in pain. Even though like there's more peace now. It's like I've addressed a lot of the conflict and there's more peace, but I'm still crying. There's just still a lot of crying that I was doing. And October 2022, I started seeing like a talk therapist. I'm talking to her, but I feel like I'm more of a therapist than she is. Like I know so much more because I consume a lot of like podcasts, reading and and I also like had released a lot. So I just felt like she wasn't helping me. Like there was nothing that she could do for me. Like when you're going through the dark night, it's not like therapy can't help you. The only way is through just feeling and releasing. So in 2023, I was like, okay, I need to go. I need a deeper therapy to help me, a different modality, because talk was not working for me. So I searched for hypnotherapist, went to her, and it was like I did a huge release, because what she did with me, she did a child regression, because they do different types of regression. So it's like a child regression, taking you back to your childhood, reliving what you went through in order for you to release. And when I say that, I mean that it puts you in the space and time, because we have our inner child with us, right? So like when she does child regression, it puts you in that emotional state of what the child was feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling it, because I would talk about whatever happened, and as an adult, I would just talk about it as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
But when I was under, I felt heavy. It was like a huge release.
Wow.
Of like that trauma. It was the beginning of releasing that trauma. And then, so I want to say that was the beginning of me slowly getting out of it, getting out of the pain. It was still there. And even now, I still consider that I'm still in the dark night, because it's a lot of stages. Yeah. I still think I'm in the dark night, because I'm in the huge void right now. So by I want to say by maybe mid-2023, I started to notice that I'm so different. I'm such a different person than I was before. And when I mean that, I think with the aspect to identity. Because for me, like the spirituality for me has been majorly about like shedding this identity that I used to have, who I thought I was and what I was going to do in the world. And that's what made me. And that is what made me who I am. And that is why these days I don't define myself with what I do.
Interesting.
I don't identify with what I do. I could be doing anything, but that does not make me who I am. And even when I introduce myself, it's not, what I do is not who I am, because that's how I used to be identified as before. And so by 2023, I have this job, but I realize, but there's a larger part of me that is disconnected, not in a bad way, in the best way possible, where I don't have ambition to advance career-wise. I don't have this, I feel so much free, because there's no anxiety about like, this job needs to give me meaning, because that's what I used to do. Like I used to want to feel something and get meaning from what I'm doing, but I realized like, oh, this is just a means. It's allowing me to exist in this human human experience, and it's helping me pay bills, so I'm grateful for it. But who I am at the core is not attached. It's not attached to the thing that I do. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I started talking about it a lot with people. Like that's what I would whenever I would meet friends. That's what I would just talk about.
Yeah.
I would just talk about how I'm like, I've outgrown that older version of me. Like that version had died. That person that used to be identified with that.
Yeah.
And with it, and that is part of the dark night, part of that shedding, part of that pain. I realized now that I was grieving the old identity, and that is why it was so painful. At the time, I didn't have that perspective. I just was going through pain. But it was a grieving process of me grieving this older version of me.
Interesting.
Right? And so on the other side of it, it's like, there's nothing that defines me. Like nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just this little human, this little soul in the human body, and whatever I do is whatever I do.
Yeah.
It's not, So I think like that was like the biggest transformation that I went through, is just letting go of this huge ego that I used to have. Yeah.
That is huge. That is huge. I feel like you've done multiple lifetimes in one. And it's a hurdle that most people never get to do in a lifetime. So do you think that is your purpose? Is that your purpose to tell us that? Because the next question I was going to ask you is, so did that mean you lost your ambition? And then you already answered it. So is that something that you feel you need to teach the rest of us to be able to detach from?
Yes, because in some ways, yes, because that's what I actually, on my TikTok, that if you watch, a lot of it is about ego death and identity and all of that, because that was what happened, because it's like I'm speaking from embodying and going through it, right? And because many people, I was searching for all of these external things, for this external thing to give me meaning. I thought that I needed to be this important person in order for me to be worthy, right? I thought that I needed like this title in order for me to be worthy, right? And that's what happens when you go through childhood trauma, where you don't feel worthy, where you're not connected to source. There was just like a split where you were split from source. And so therefore you need something to give you that meaning, to give you that worthiness. So I always wanted to be this important global leader, because there was a part of me that just needed that in order to feel fulfilled within. And that is what I had to shed during the dark night. So like on the other side of it, I was like, okay, like right now, I literally I don't care about any titles, like couldn't care less. Whenever I see somebody post on LinkedIn that, I'm so happy to...
Let me ask you, can you now, knowing what you know, are you saying that you can hold the two together? So can you be a world leader right now, but be detached from from the worth that seemingly it gives you?
Absolutely.
So you would still pursue being a world leader like you used to?
Well, so right now, I don't think, like my old version of me that wanted to be in that field, like really died. It just died with it in terms of like what I wanted to do. So, but I do... It's yes to that question. Like you can do and serve the world, and and be of service and hold like high positions without being attached to it. When you don't expect what you're doing to give you meaning. It's like that the disconnect of like, this thing has to give me meaning, so that like whenever you're dissatisfied at work, right? You're like, okay, I need to find another, right? It's like that need to find another position, another title, because this one is not working. And thinking that, okay, like if this is not giving me meaning, maybe I need to find something else in order for me to get that meaning. So the disconnect is you disconnecting what gives you meaning and worthiness from like what you do.
How
I
do
don't
you,
know if that makes
it
sense.
makes sense. How do you maintain it? How do you maintain that balance? So, I mean, imagining if I'm going to be like this amazing podcaster, world leader person, knowing, conceptually understand what you're saying. So
Yeah.
how would you advise someone to be able to ground themselves in it? So not be thrown out of balance. Do you understand? So someone who's gotten what you're saying,
Right.
and they're living the world leader thing and in a detached way. So it's just service. For them, it's service, it's not worth. How do they stay in it? How do they ground it?
I think it's first by understanding that nothing external can give you what you're lacking internally. Your primary way, the primary world is internal, right? So when you make that primary, when you find your inherent worthiness, because it's not as easy as it sounds, like finding that inherent worthiness. There's a lot of us that were traumatized, and even if you weren't traumatized, you were taught that the external is what gives, like, go for the external, and that would give you meaning, or that would give you something, so we've been programmed, and these programs have been running for so many years. So it's natural for us to just go for the external, and for the achievement, for the external, in order for us to feel like meaningful, right? So I think the way to ground on the way is like making your internal world your primary way, understanding that you've never not been worthy.
Yeah.
You've never not been worthy, regardless of what you're doing or what you're not doing. Even when you're not doing anything, you're still worthy. Like, think of a baby, like a bundle of joy, this baby. The baby's just there. They don't have to do anything. But how much do you love that baby? How much would you give for that baby? How much would you sacrifice for that baby? That baby has no thoughts. They don't do anything. They just eat and poop and cry. But like, they know that they're worthy. Like, it's like babies understand what we don't understand. Because when we come into this world as babies, we know everything. We understand everything. We understand our inherent worthiness. But then we start to be programmed, and that is erased. That connection to source that we feel as babies is erased. With the more programs, the older you get, the more things that you're told. The more you're told that this is the way of operating. This is practical. You need to do this because it's practical. But who says that, right?
Yeah.
So the only, I guess, like the simplest answer is making your internal world your primary, because that is the only way. Because when you're grounded in that internal of understanding that you've always been worthy, regardless, and it's not it's not easy. It's like it comes with pain. It comes with the parts of you that tell you that you're unworthy. So, for example, like, that's what I've been confronting in the last. So I lost my job January 2025. It went away, and even though that I had shed that identity of me being connected to the job, right? So that my identity was not affected. When I lost the job, I didn't feel like, okay, so who am I now, right? Who am I now that I don't have a job? Because I was not connected to that anymore. I felt like, okay, like, I've lost my means of income. That's what it felt. Even though, like, it was my field of study, there was no part of identity that was affected. It was just like, okay.
That's huge. You say it like it's a matter of fact, but it's huge. It was like the universe testing whether you get the lesson really, and then it snatches the identity source previous, and then you're like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that 2 months before I lost the job, I dreamt about it. I saw it in a dream. The only way you can be grounded and be able to operate in this world that conditions us to just chase our worthiness, externally, is by grounding yourself, grounding your internal world, coming back to that center of like, this is where it is. Because when you're disconnected from that, and in my experience, whenever I'm disconnected from my inner self, I suffer. Yeah. So your question was, how can you balance? How can you balance like actually doing important things in the world, serving in the world, but at the same time disconnecting who you are with that you're doing, right? I think like the danger comes in when you expect that to make you happy, right? To make you like every day you're joyful, you're happy because of this. That is when that's where the danger comes in. Because what if it goes away? Then what does that mean? You need to start for another thing in order for you to bring that happiness, right? And so my experience, as I was telling you about, like I was going after all of these things, and the universe kept showing me that this is not the thing. It's not the thing. It's not the thing. It's not the thing. I had to do it several times in order for me to learn that lesson that nothing external, nothing. Not a relationship, no amount of money, no whatever fancy car, nothing external can satisfy any dissatisfaction that I'm feeling inward. If I'm feeling a dissatisfaction, it's an inward job. It's an inside job. Has become my primary way of operating. It's like, okay, what is going on inside? You know, I'm seeing all of these things. I'm being triggered. And as a human, right, because of that conditioning that I've had for so many years, it's natural for me to just look outward and be like, okay, other people are progressing. Other people are doing all these things, these important things in the world, and I feel like I'm not doing anything. I was at the job.
Yeah, you were telling us about the job.
So when I lost my job in 2021, my identity was disconnected. So that identity was not affected, but the means of income was affected. And so I was like, okay, I had reached a place where like I had a higher perspective, because 2 months before I had dreamt about it. I dreamt about losing the job. I lost the job in the dream. And I remember in the dream not being anxious in the dream. I remember walking after losing the job. In the job I was fired, but in real life I wasn't fired. So I remember walking out of that conversation with my boss, and I remember just walking, and I remember telling myself, this is in the dream, I remember telling myself, oh my gosh, we are okay, we have options. I'm saying that in the dream.
Nice.
So when I woke up, I was like, oh, that was weird. I was like, okay, of course I don't want this to happen. It's not something I prefer because it's a means of living. I don't prefer it, but my subconscious is showing me that if this were to happen, I would not spiral.
Okay.
So when it happened 2 months later, I thought I was gonna. In fact, I was too anxious 2 days leading to the losing the job. But after that, it felt like a weight had been lifted. I didn't feel. I was not affected. I didn't feel.
Nice.
You know. Yeah. My subconscious already had showed me that I was okay, right? And that is how I received it when I lost it. But with that, right? With that, it's not like, oh, now, because this is a healing journey. The universe is always giving you opportunities to go deeper. Right? So when that happened, I was not affected, but then the wounds of unworthiness started to come up, right? Even though, yes, my identity is not affected, but that wound of like, I need to do something externally in order for me to be worthy is when it started to come back. Of like, okay, now I'm not doing anything. I feel unworthy. I feel worthless. I feel like I'm not adding any value. Right? So I'm sitting in that pain of like not having anything external that I'm doing, and I'm just having to sit in that pain. And that's when I started doing like parts work, shadow work. They're like interchangeable in terms of how they use. They're like different modalities.
Parts is PATH.
Parts, like a part.
Or PART.
Yes.
Like a part of something.
Like
okay.
parts work. It's by this, his name is Richard Schwartz. So he's written a famous book called No Bad Parts, right? Okay. So that's when I started to do parts work of just addressing the inner conflict, like on a deeper level. So the parts of me that are coming up to tell me that I'm not worthy because I'm not doing anything, I need to sit with those. Because, of course, this is coming from conditioning, right? So, and they're coming to be released. Yeah. Because when you see them, when you see anything and you hold it in light, then it's going to leave you.
Yeah.
So that's when I started to confront, those parts and holding them and telling myself, even if you're allowed to feel unworthy. It's okay for you to feel unworthy. Just telling myself that, because that is the work. It's like feeling unworthy and telling that part of you that it's okay for it to exist. You don't have to do anything. And that is, a lot of people mistake growth and transformation with fixing yourself, like getting rid of the parts that you don't want. And that is why Richard says no bad parts. Like, you don't have any bad parts. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to do that at all. You just need to love yourself. Like, even when you feel unworthy, love the parts of you that feel unworthy, because those parts were conditioned, right? And they actually protected you for so long, because those are the parts that were achieving, and they went out to achieve, and maybe they helped you propel yourself to a certain level. So they served a purpose at a certain point, but now you're growing and you're outgrowing them.
Yeah.
Right? But now that they're coming to be released, you just need to hold them with that love, see them, and allow them to exist without judgment. And when you do that is when they dissolve.
Yes.
And that is what unconditional love is about. It's just about holding every single part of you.
Yeah.
With no judgment.
Yeah.
And so that's the primary work of just addressing your conflict as it comes and sitting with the heaviness, even when it's the heaviest. That's how you can balance what you were talking about earlier. Making your internal world primary is the only way you can balance, so that the ego doesn't trip you and make you think that whatever that thing is going to give you what you don't already have.
Man, that is so profound. I was telling you off camera, I think you were sent for me, because I think I'm on the verge of that balance, if I should call it that. I'm just there, just wondering, because I've done a lot of inner work.
Right.
I used to have that hole that you talked about. Now I've long filled it, and now I'm going back into the, let's say, material world, into the external world, which we still have to live in.
Right, because you
yes,
this physical world.
Yes, yeah. So I didn't know until now how to balance that life and this other life. I actually didn't know how to do that, because I don't want to abandon one for the other, and I also don't want my ego to trick me into thinking that I can go out there and I'm good to go and everything. It's going to trip me up. I'm going to start identifying with the titles and the money and the everything, and I'm back again, and that's exhausting.
I really don't think you can go back. I'm pretty sure you've done a lot of work for you to be able to be tripped that easily.
But imagine that's not what the ego will tell me.
Okay.
The ego won't tell me that.
Oh, the ego is so sneaky.
Now, it's so sneaky. It's only now that you say there's something that clicked for me was remembering what is the primary world. That's something I didn't even think about before.
Make the internal the primary world.
Exactly.
Whenever you do that, it's like that verse of the Bible that says the kingdom.
Seek it. That's what I wanted to tell you.
The kingdom of heaven first, right?
The kingdom of God, and the rest shall be added.
Yeah,
I thought about that.
Seek it first, and then the rest will come.
So I guess I think we can speak for hours.
Yeah, we should record one where we do a 4-hour just chat, because there's so much to talk about.
We have so much to talk about, but that's good, because we get to come back as well. I hope, dear viewers, you enjoyed. Thank you for staying with us for the whole session, for the whole episode. I pray that you will find this useful and that you're going to share it with as many people as possible, because for all the episodes that I've done, this one has been the most relevant to the people who are not seekers, not even in the spiritual path. People who are just dissatisfied with their lives. So if you know someone who's going through the motions, the things that we talked about in this episode, please share with them. And for them to know there's someone going through the same thing, they're not alone. And there is always hope. Until next time, maybe we can say goodbye.
Thank you so much for watching Miriam's podcast. Subscribe to her YouTube channel. Help her grow, because she's doing amazing work, right? There's a lot of people that are seeking this type of information.
Thank you.
When I was going through my journey, it's actually podcasts like this that they didn't take me out of the pain, but they helped me reframe a lot of things. So if you're watching this and it helped you, share with somebody that you think it's going to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also subscribe to her
podcast.
To my Art of Being podcast.
Yeah.
yeah, let's all grow, let's all work together. And thank you.
Until next time.
Goodbye.